Good evening, viewers. This is Media Track, the media, analysis we do for about half an hour. It looks at the stories that have the highest sort of highlight of the past week. And with me is Ashley Rosario. This is episode 40. Now, we've had weeks of bad news, following upon bad news, and a friend of mine called me just yesterday, and he lives in Bombay, and he was saying that it's so depressing to watch TV. We only get to see bad news. It's so depressing to read the papers. There's only bad news. So he would rather, only read a book or watch a movie that's a little different. So to get away from all that, we are not going to focus right at the start on the bad news and how many people have died, how many cases of coronavirus have now notched up in the world. But let me take you to a little more positive story. I was just discussing it with Ashley before we started recording. And it's about the girl from Bihar who cycled down 1,200 kilometers. She's only 15 years old, carrying her father on the back of her cycle. There's only this little seat, and she traveled all the way from Gurugram in Delhi to Bihar, Gurugram in Haryana actually, to Bihar. It took her a week to reach. Now the good news is that she's going to go on, be given a trial to join the team, the India team, cycling team. Indian Cycling Federation of India, Indian chairman Onkar Singh told PTI that if Kumari, a class 8 student, passed the trial, she will be selected as a trainee at the state-of-the-art cycling academy. So that's one of the really good stories. The other story that struck us was the one that appeared in the Goan. Ashley, would you like to sort of talk about that story? It's about the Goan priest.
It's about this priest from Ambora Raya who was the ex-secretary of the Archbishop of Jharkhand, who was stuck in Jharkhand during the lockdown.
Okay.
So basically he was interviewed, and he discussed how the villages that he was in during the lockdown coped with the whole lockdown problem. And kind of he feels that would be the model for the future economy of the country. Villages being self-sufficient and driving the economy from there.
Okay, so the name of the village is Chirayan, and it's an Adivasi village. Now the one point, he is a missionary priest,
from
right?
The Pilar Fathers.
From the Pilar Fathers, and he was posted in Ranchi. Right, he's gone back to his posting. So the one thing that I thought I like the story very much. The only thing missing is nobody said how many people live in that village.
Exactly.
The
parameters of the whole model are not very clearly defined there.
So I was wondering also how many Catholics there are in the village that necessitates, I think 2 priests are in the village. And Father Barreto lived among villages extracting oil from seeds on a handmade wooden tool, grinding corn flour and working on paddy processing. So the village has enough food for itself. It is self-sufficient. And according to Father Barreto, it has also the connectivity, internet connectivity to the village improved in December 2019. So they were able to get a lot of updates, etc. But the initial information to them came from the government. I think some messages came down, and they were told how to do social
distancing.
Somebody came down to the village to actually explain to them
yes.
how to do all that. Okay, so those were the very interesting stories, I thought. And to go back to coronavirus, which unfortunately is still dominating the headlines, and India has opened up its airspace now. One of the reasons that I'm just reading from the Indian Express, the center in its revised guidelines for lockdown 4.0 said domestic air travel would be prohibited till May 31. But in just 3 days, it had a change of mind. Now, why did that happen, you think, Ashley? Why did it change this whole decision it had taken?
Because of the spot. No, the cases continue to rise. They have still not got a hold of the situation on the ground.
Yeah, one reason I think, as this Express report says, is that an imminent threat of more than one airline folding up, both on account of the extended and the little or to no relief in the economic package, was one of the reasons for the government to advance the
pressure of the wheels of economy having completely halted is definitely having a bearing on government decisions. There's no doubt about it. But still, with this skeletal opening up of the airspace, whether those struggling airlines will kind of tide over the crisis is a big question mark.
Now, how do you think the opening up of the Dabuli airport is going to affect Goa? Because as of yesterday, as of today, in fact, I think we have way beyond 50 in positive cases. How many are we currently?
We've
that is
45 active cases.
Okay.
So totally 52 because 52. We have 7 cured.
That is after we turn green, is it? After we've gone, we turn green.
Yeah, the active cases are all after we were green for about 32 days.
Okay.
And then we started getting the new cases.
Okay.
So the new cases are 45.
Okay, so the new cases are 45. So this all has happened. The reason, the minute the lockdown was relaxed, and we started getting trains and we started getting buses, and now Dabuli Airport is ready for takeoff. It's going to offer 30 landing slots to airlines. Now this is apparently 1/3 of what Goa used to handle, around 90 international and domestic arrivals per day. So obviously tourism is not yet open, but it seems like quite a few people are still trying to get into Goa as tourists. We had actually we had the case of 5 married couples coming here for their honeymoon. And apparently they came without any permission. They had not applied for permission online. They were discovered at Margao railway station. And they were sent for quarantine to a hotel for testing. And in fact, what it seems to me that they got a free holiday, literally a quarantine holiday. So since we are on the tourism story, there was a very interesting statement made by, I think, one of the opposition persons. He said that Goa is actually encouraging quarantine tourism.
That is Rohan County yesterday at a press conference said that. I don't know how much of that statement has truth in it, but it would be ridiculous for a government to kind of promote quarantine tourism. Absolutely ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I don't think unless a person is crazy, is going to want to travel for tourism's sake, to visit another place in these times of such uncertainty, where you don't know when you are going to contract the coronavirus.
That is a fact, but it also seems to me that a lot of people coming to Goa are coming to this place because they see it as a safe haven. Now we've had so many cases of people who have second homes driving in. You have, of course, Pooja Bedi, who has, even made a statement on Facebook saying that she applied under the regular guidelines, and she and her partner, who she calls Goan Manik, contractor, is a Goan, she said, so he has every right to come back to his home. And she was actually criticizing the whole process she had to undergo for the testing. She says she came with a certificate that showed she was negative, and yet they retested her. But why not? I mean, these are the rules.
These are the norms.
These are the norms.
But Devika, I'll just take the argument a little further. Okay. At some stage, the lockdown will have to be relaxed. Lockdown is not a permanent foil against coronavirus. Okay. It's just a kind of a stopgap. It's a stopgap to give the health setup the time to regroup, to create infrastructure, to handle future cases, and whenever the infection starts spreading locally. Because the virus per se is not deadly. As we know, the mortality rates are low. And as time passes by, more and more scientific knowledge is coming out on this internationally. So I think we will have to change our tack a little bit as we move forward, where we begin to believe that just having a rising number of corona positive cases is not a threat. As long as we have the facilities to treat them.
We trace them to begin with.
Exactly.
Secondly, that so long as also they do not overcrowd the hospitals and the ICUs.
So this governments all over, not just in Goa, all over in India, have to utilize this time of the lockdown to beef up their health infrastructure, increase the number of beds in hospitals that are designated COVID hospitals, keep increasing as much as possible the testing capacities. All this stuff, I think, is the thing to be done during the lockdown. Because lockdown cannot go on perpetually.
That's
true. Cannot just keep being locking down.
But with the locals, there has been quite a bit of anxiety. Angst and anxiety is the headline in your paper, which as Bardez, locals oppose quarantine facilities in residential areas. Now I presume this is of the people, the Sikh that are coming back,
and whose company has booked these hotels wherever they could, to put there. This again is a problem of lack of information. I think the government should have informed the people in that locality that these people are coming and they're going to be quarantined in this hotel.
Now, one thing I wanted to ask you, Ashley. Now, you see, the seafarers, I personally feel are being unfairly treated.
Obviously.
Because they are the only group of people who are being made to pay quarantine in a hotel. They are there for 14 days, and then they are sent home, where again they're asked to quarantine for another 14 days. This is contrary to what everybody else who's just literally cruising into Goa.
It's also contrary to the first SOP, the standard operating procedures that were released by the MHA and the shipping regulator, Director General Shipping, where they said that you disembark and the SOP comes into play there, wherever at the port, wherever you are disembarking, and if you are tested negative, since you are already in quarantine on the ship, you would be let go with maybe home quarantine or self quarantine in whichever state you're going to. If you are positive, then you go straight away at that port. You are put into a COVID hospital there and you go through the regimen of being treated. But here, in the case of seafarers in Goa, the government of Goa has added an additional shield of their own, which is again against that SOP. So basically it is unfair. 100% it is unfair. I don't understand why these seafarers who have already spent what, 2 months, two and a half months,
most of them have
virtually
spent 2
isolated
months,
in,
totally
their cabins.
Right.
So putting an additional 14 days when they are testing negative is a bit too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Now if those ships were contaminated, for example, we had that first case when it started off in January, February of that ship in Japan. There were cases of coronavirus positive passengers and crew on that ship. If that is the case, then you do that with those seafarers, you know. But then any ship and any seafarer coming from any ship which is not contaminated is, I think,
all those
crazy.
Passengers anyway disembarked and
followed the protocol and got cured. Some of them died.
Those were the initial days when
there was nothing known of the disease.
No one knew anything much about COVID-19. Now, one other story that caught my eye is the one about the people from the northeast leave for native places. Now, quite a few people from the northeast are here from your newspaper. I gather around 1,500 of them.
Most of them are in these casinos.
Exactly, they're in the casinos.
And the spas.
Right. So obviously, not all 1,500 left, but 1,500 may be a small number actually.
I think it's a bigger number than that, because a lot of them are not registered on that portal that the government has opened for people to register to go back to their native places.
Right. So obviously they feel that the casinos at least are not going to open up for a very long time. So, and there was this other statement I read from Michael Lobo, who he said that pray to God that tourism will restart, because as things are, it's unlikely that it is going to restart. But the other thing is the amount of people sort of agitating. Now you have even the bar owners urging the government to grant permission to resume business. Now, in what way could bar owners resume business in this whole pandemic that is playing out, etc.?
Everybody is looking at a dead end. Everybody is looking at a dead wall in front of their faces as far as business and livelihoods are concerned. Even our profession is currently facing a huge problem before it, with a lot of media organizations letting off people and implementing pay cuts and stuff like that. Things aren't looking very good. Things aren't looking very good on the economic front at all.
I know. Now, there was one other story that really caught my eye, and it was done by Rajdeep Sardesai. He writes a column which comes out in for Hindustan Times, I think. No, for India Today probably.
No, this is Navin Times.
I know, he does this column which is syndicated.
I think it's a syndicated column.
Right. Yeah. So he talked of the survival of Gujarat model in Corona times, and it's a very interesting analysis, because he says the truth is the Gujarat model was never the wondrous paradise that the glitzy propaganda machine suggested it to be for more than a decade between 2001. So what he's actually saying is that Gujarat is doing really badly in tackling the coronavirus, and whereas the mortality rate nationally is 3.09%, Gujarat's mortality rate is 5.9%. And it has the highest number of cases in the country.
Yeah, Devika, this narrative of models, economic models of states and governments, always ignores the human development indicators.
Exactly.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It ignores the amount of investments made in the social sectors.
Yes.
Like education, health. Always, it only talks of the revenue models. It only talks of the GDPs. It only talks of how much money is made.
Yes.
The top lines and the bottom lines of big businesses.
Yes.
And the population of that particular territory is never and the indicators, the human indicators that are normally the parameters that decide the progress of a particular territory, are never taken into account. So that is why this whole Gujarat model for the last 1.5 decade made headlines across.
So he makes the point that Gujarat spends less than 2% of its income on education, and nearly half of its workforce are illiterate or have only studied up to 5th standard. And the other point is that Gujarat has only 0.33 hospital beds per 1,000 population, as against the national average of 0.55 beds per 1,000. Only Bihar has a worse record than that. So, you know, this whole sort of landscape of a state, the Gujarat model, if you recall, when Narendra Modi was Chief Minister of Gujarat, has been so overplayed that one never got. So the reality is actually coming out now
in a crisis.
In a crisis of this kind, and they are obviously not able to cope. And the other thing that struck me is this other report that said that over 50 million Indians lack hand washing access, which is the most basic of things to tackle the coronavirus.
But strangely, Devika, I think perhaps the only achievement of the 6 years of Modi at the center has been the sanitation part. Okay, there's huge investment by that government, by the Modi government, in building toilets, in making a large part of rural India open defecation free. In terms of that is perhaps the only area of governance that this Modi's government has done something. Okay, yet in spite of that, we are still lacking in that sanitation at the rural place. Like, for example, this story that you're talking about. 50 million means about 5 crore Indians have no access to washing hands. To
water. I mean, people have no access to water, to the most simple basic requirement of life. Now, you know, in Goa, the big story for the last few days was about the SSC exams. Were the SSC exams going to be held or not? And finally, the exams began on Thursday. And so the wait is over. SSC exams commence, and there were a lot of photographs in the local paper. Students had to wear masks to answer the. So why is it so crucial to have these exams under these conditions? And Ashley, and if you look at the pictures, there is this huge distance. But can Goa cope with these exams at this stage?
Devika, looking at it objectively, I think it has been very well and efficiently handled by the Goa board.
Okay.
Number one. First of all, yes, 19,800 students are registered to take this exam. But at no given time are all 19,800 students answering together. Okay, because there are these optional subjects first. Like on day one, we had just 344 students answering across Goa. Okay. On day two, it went up to some 1,000 something, because you had that second optional subject. The problem comes on Saturday, when almost about 90% of these 19,000 students will be answering their first language exam, that is the English exam on Saturday. The maths and the science, so 2 more subjects after that. So only in 3 subjects, in 3 papers, you will have a large number. But the board has ensured they have tripled the number of examination halls. And they are going to permit a maximum of 12 students per hall. So they have done their homework well. They have tripled the number of examination halls. They have tripled the number of personnel that are going to be, you know, handling the logistics physically to conduct this exam. So basically, Devika, the decision taken by the government in consultation with the Goa board of having this exam in the first place is because it's a very crucial qualification in the formal education of an individual. SSC. It's like the first benchmark of your academic career. Eventually, this batch of 19,000 odd students some of them will continue their higher education.
Yeah.
Some of them may drop out at this level and go into some technical skills.
Yeah.
Eventually, they will have to compete in the job market.
That's true.
So this particular certificate examination is very crucial for them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would be handicapped.
Talking of the job market, what I found quite striking was this statement by Goa's IT firms that they are going to log out 4,000 jobs. Now, this is the situation we are in right now, and everybody is online and everybody is being told to do everything online. Watch a movie, watch a program, go to your computer, stay locked in, and yet so many jobs are being lost. And they said that I don't understand. There is an irony in this. Why is this happening?
It's happening because these firms, these are startup firms, right? Most of the business in the IT sector is being done by startup firms who have a short strategy. They have a short-term strategies. They work on short-term strategies because there are changes happening in the IT field so fast.
Yes.
So they don't see a market for whatever work they do right now very soon in this current coronavirus situation worldwide. So obviously the option for them is to lay off people.
I know.
Because how are they going to pay them?
Just like the tourism industry, I'm frankly quite surprised that the IT industry has also taken a hit. And on that little sad note, we have to wind up. We've run out of time. Thank you for watching, and do join us again next week.